Welcome back. I know many people have had a hard time understanding blockchain, NFTs, DeFi, and just crypto overall. So let's start by covering what Web 1.0, what Web 2.0, and what Web 3.0 are, because you guys aren't ready for Web 4.0 for sure. So let's start there. So we got a lot of stuff that's coming in from the tech sector as far as new types of structures that are being built by these developers, new types of systems, and they're leaving their corporate jobs to form what's pretty much been dubbed as Web 3.0. Now, what is Web 3.0 and how is it different from Web 2.0 and Web 1.0? So the first version of the web was Web 1.0, which users could see stuff on the screen and they can read stuff on the screen, but pretty much you couldn't post anything, you couldn't review anything, and it was kind of like a giant digital book, some pictures, I guess, and it was kind of like a encyclopedia. So it didn't serve much other than for like a record keeper or a catalog. But for Web 2.0, we had our first upgrade. It allowed us to interact with different sites. You were able to review, leave comments, share, like, and you know, report on stuff, which is really cool, especially the likes. I know you guys love the likes. So we had the ability to do that. And of course, it made sharing memes, sharing information, and interacting with it much easier for us. So the cons: the data was centralized, analyzed, and sold. Why is that a problem? Well, centralization, much as like as many companies as that we have available right now, focus on centralization because they like controlling all of that. You have banks, governments, and other large institutions that can get hacked, and your information will be withdrawn from a centralized place. So a centralized place has a centralized point of failure, which all your data can be taken. Now, the FBI is an example of this because they've been actually hacked various times. This year, I believe their email was hacked. And to my recollection, and as far as I know, Bitcoin has never been hacked, other than the exchanges which are centralized, which also gave rise to DEXs, which are decentralized exchanges. But that's a video for another time. So now that we've covered centralization, why is the analysis of the data that they take important? Well, for one thing, there's a saying that goes, if you aren't paying for the product, you are the product. So if you think about all the free applications you use, FB, Instagram, TikTok, your Chrome browser, people who solely live in the physical world probably don't understand the value of this. But data can always be analyzed, predicted, and
I'm Nemo.
Well, Nemo, all new explorers must answer a science question.
Okay.
You live in what kind of home? Okay, don't hurt yourself.
anemone. But data can always be analyzed to predict what may happen in the future. It doesn't always work that way, but there's a good chance that that can happen. And as it gets better, which is why AI is such a big focus, it just gets better and better and better till like pretty much can know what many of us are doing. I'm not going to say 100%, but many of us can make the proper predictions. So if you ever talking to a friend and it's weird that you get an ad for that, but they said they didn't do it, it's kind of How do you know? Because who's really regulating that when they say like, oh, we're not listening in, when the only people who would know are the people working in the company? So yeah, that's a little bit too much power for me, in my opinion. Yeah, the system can serve you better on a free platform, but they choose to sell your data because, well, they can. And I mean, it's part of the evolution of technology. Before we weren't even able to accumulate that type of information. Now we are, which gave rise to those types of jobs. Now we have those same developers, engineers, creators leaving those jobs and creating something completely different. If we end up becoming monetized, your habits, your interest, and big data continues to improve on the route that it's on, you're almost going to be like a battery. Do you remember that famous movie, and then they just made like a new one where there's a guy that was unplugged? Yeah, what was the name of that again?
What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out.
But anyway, if you become a battery, then pretty much you'll solely exist as a way to be farmed of value. And all your data, all your analytics, all your habits will be pretty much used to create applications to get you to stay on there more, to continue the process until you cease to exist. Which is why nature is important, and it's nice to unplug sometimes, even though I need to do it more often as well. So that's Web 2.0. There are some nice features, but it comes with some drawbacks. And those some drawbacks can be pretty big to some people. To me, I'm pretty big on security. I'm pretty big on monetization, and I would prefer if that could be converted into something where I can make a living off of from doing the stuff that I do normally, like my data or browsing or reading and the stuff I look at. So, what is Web 3.0? Web 3.0 has the ability to remove companies out of the equation. This can help fix or at least improve the centralized security issues we have now. Your data is being captured, monetized, and you are being given these ads that you don't want to see. When in turn, with Web 3.0, those ads may be able to have been a choice. So what I'm saying is, in Web 3.0, you can choose to opt into receiving these ads, and you will be paid for them, as these ad companies pay these people or these other companies for allowing them to, share your data, pretty much buy your data. So, rather than having these companies running the show, communities are being built to run future projects and the growth of these investments. NFTs and DAOs come into play here, but these are also for another video. So, there's so many things being built, and there's a lack of information and a lack of knowledge. Right now, countries are just starting to understand this because, from my opinion, any changes generally has to start at the top as and in a large scale at one time, which we are not getting that because these changes require an understanding of the technology, the infrastructure, what's actually being displaced, which is a lot of the old systems that are not functioning for people and more functioning for a select few rather than large communities or large nations, in my opinion. So as we evolve, we're going to see this integrated more into our systems. I believe a few years ago, during 2018, France started implementing it into their schools. And I believe now we're starting to implement it into our schools in the US. However, MIT and other big tech companies have already started researching and working on these types of educational documentation and educational knowledge of the technology and the structures that are being built. So what's really cool is that Web 3.0 allows for people to not need to download these applications. In the future, it will be very possible to open up whatever game application you wanted to use, except it'll just be the browser. You just go to the page, it opens up the game engine, and you're able to play directly on there. So you won't need, it's possible you won't need any more storage space on your device. Now, any storage will also be like similarly to like cloud, where it's centralized, but it will be encrypted and sent to various computers all over the world. So your data can't be breached, which to me is actually better than any security that other companies offer. So that you have more security, you have more flexibility in your data, more control, and that's just to me the biggest drivers of Web 3.0. But yes, you can experience better types of games, which will incentivize you through crypto or other forms that have yet to be released. And if you look at the data, we're heading that way. So Web 3.0 is not something you want to miss out on, because this is the second coming of the internet. First we had pagers, then we had those brick cell phones that you could only call from. Pagers, you could only get the message. Then we moved to the flip phones, and now we have, you know, portable phones that are better than most of the computers were back then. So you see things develop over time. I know there's a lot of the younger generation that has no idea what pagers, or was it beta tapes, cassette players were. So this is where history does actually come along and help you out. So you can see the trend, and you can see the data changes, and how we're evolving into the next progression of technology. So I definitely recommend you don't sleep on Web 3.0. I will be making more videos on NFTs, DeFi. What else am I missing? Metaverse, of course, dApps, and DAOs, which are decentralized organizations, decentralized autonomous organizations. There we go. So, you know, hopefully this video has been helpful. Give a like, subscribe, and I'll definitely do more videos on these for you guys.